Ella Belfanti, welcome to Australian Musician.
Thank you, Greg. It's awesome to be here. Thanks for having me on board for this.
Not a problem. I wanted to go back a little bit. When you were growing up and getting into music, what were the albums that you couldn't stop playing?
The albums that I couldn't stop playing? Probably Brushfire Fairy Tales by Jack Johnson was a really big one. Grand National by John Butler. I got really into Lungs by Florence and the Machine. The Cat Empire by the Cat Empire. That's probably my all-time favorite band. And the Indigo Girls debut album as well was a big one for me. Yeah. Those are going to be the big ones.
You got into fingerstyle guitar playing rather than regular strumming. How did that happen?
The original person I saw doing that was John Butler with his song Ocean, which I know has been a massive inspiration to so many people. But the first time I heard that song was actually at a live gig. I'd listened to his other music before, and I was in the mosh pit with my sister, and I was, he started playing that track, and I just lost my mind, and I was like, oh my God, like that is what guitar is all about. And at that point, I'd only been using guitar to accompany myself singing, because I've always been a songwriter. Ever since I could sort of pick up an instrument and compose tunes. But that was sort of a turning point where I went, wow, like guitar is the instrument for me, and I really want to start experimenting with all the different timbres you can create with it and stuff like that. Yeah. And then I got really into musicians like Daniel Champagne and Andy McKee, John Gomm have been big ones as well.
Yeah. You've been accomplishing quite a bit in the last few years. One of the things that you did was won the 2017 Bluesfest Busking Competition, which allowed you to perform at Bluesfest. Tell me about that experience.
So that was the Best Guitarist Award, and I was 17 at that point. I entered the Grommets competition, the under-18 section. And I didn't win the whole competition, but rather just I had a specific award for guitarists, and I had taught myself how to play Ocean by John Butler at that point, as well as experimenting with fingerstyle and percussive guitar with a bunch of my original music. And I played those tracks, and I found out, I got a spot at Bluesfest at the stage that they had set up for the competition there, and it was an amazing experience. There was a great crowd there that all got really into the music, and I found out later that I'd won the Guitarist Award, which was super exciting, and that sort of was a bit of a springboard into the music industry for me. After that, I wasn't sure how far my music career was going to go at that point. I was taking a gap year, and I had anticipated I was going to go to university straight after that, but things sort of took off from there, and I never really ended up deferring, and here I am still playing music. But yeah, that was amazing. That was the first music festival I got to play at, and I've done quite a few of those now. I frequent the festival circuit, so it was an amazing moment. Yeah. I'm super grateful for that opportunity.
Another thing you did was you played our Melbourne Guitar Show. Was an interesting lead up. You were coming down from the Alps, where you spend a lot of time, and you weren't well. You arrived a little bit late once you got there and set up. How was the gig?
Yeah, the gig was fantastic. I was feeling pretty awful leading up to it. I'd gotten food poisoning the night before when I was supposed to drive down, and ended up having to drive down on the morning after I'd just recovered. But as soon as I got up on stage and started playing to everybody, it was such a great vibe there. And, everyone was super interested in the guitar work, and there were so many amazing musicians around. I had a fantastic time and sort of forgot all about feeling unwell. And yeah, I really enjoyed the performance and the workshop that I got to participate in presenting as well, along with two other percussive fingerstyle guitarists. But yeah, the whole thing was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. It was such a great thing to be a part of.
Yeah, as I said, you did drive down from the Alps. You spend quite a bit of time at the snow. You're a skiing instructor, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm a ski instructor as well. That's sort of my part-time job, I guess. For a couple of months of the year, I get to do that. And yeah, I absolutely love skiing, and it's such a great environment to be a part of. And I also play music while I'm instructing on the mountains that I work at, quite a few gigs and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a pretty exciting lifestyle. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. You've got a brand new single coming out called Hold You In. Did the song take long to put together?
This song was one that, songwriting's an interesting thing for me. Sometimes I work at a song for a really long time, and sometimes one just seems to come out really quickly. So I think this song only really took an hour to write. I just started experimenting with playing my guitar in a sort of lap guitar position and using the body as a drum in that way. And, I'd seen actually Ben Howard I've been watching a lot of. He does a little bit of that. And I was just thinking to myself, well, that's really cool. And I started experimenting with it. And I'd just gone through an experience of ending my first ever relationship. And it just sort of came out of me. I was venting to myself and processing the experience on an emotional level. And the song just wrote itself, really. So,
because the song is about the loss of a relationship, does that make it hard to perform?
It can be sometimes if I'm feeling particularly emotionally vulnerable. Like every time I sing the song, it takes me back to that state. But in a sense, it's a really nice sense of self-therapy. Every time I sing it, I get to sort of process those emotions and come to terms with it. So it's difficult on some level, but it's also really refreshing, I guess, to sort of release the tension that comes along with thinking about that rather than just holding on to it and, not being able to express it. So yeah, it's a really therapeutic process for me, playing and writing songs like that.
The track has a layered backing vocal. Is that you?
That is me, yeah. The song was actually a live recording in the studio, sort of a one take type of thing, while I was recording another single with my band. And it was sort of just a thing that we added on at the side because we had some extra time. And so, yeah, I recorded the song live with my guitar and my foot on a stomp box doing some of the kick drum stuff. And then I just dubbed a couple of harmonies over the top afterwards.
You've got a beautiful Cole Clark guitar that you use. Tell me about how you acquired that and what you love about it.
I love the Cole Clark guitars. I think they're beautiful. I bought that guitar in 2018, I believe, right in January 2018. And, I'd been looking around, I'd been playing one of my dad's old guitars up until that point for about 6 years. And that was an Onyx sort of hand me down from a friend of his. And he never, my dad played a little bit, but not really ever much. And I just, really wanted a guitar of my own that was something that I really loved. And I did a lot of research and yeah, I fell in love with the Cole Clark guitars. They're an Australian brand, made of sustainable timbers. And so I bought that guitar after trying like a whole bunch of them in shops. And then a few years later, fairly recently, I actually ended up being endorsed by Cole Clark Guitars, which is incredible. And I now own another one as well. I own a Cole Clark bass guitar and a Cole Clark lap steel too, that I've been absolutely loving writing and playing on. But yeah, that guitar's amazing. It's got some of the best percussive tones out of anything I've ever played. And the wood just looks beautiful. It's really lovely to play. It feels great. And the pickup system's amazing too. So like for any sort of percussive stuff, which is that sort of fingerstyle thing that I focus on, it's incredible. Yeah.
When you play live, you just DI the guitar?
Yep, I just DI it and it sounds amazing. It's got a pickup system with 3 different types of pickups. One in the face of the guitar, it's got a microphone on the inside, and one in the not the nut, it's the bridge of the guitar to pick up the strings, and sort of through that you get this really natural warm sound. So yeah, and you can sort of play around with it. Yeah. There's a lot of versatility.
With your looping, what do you use? What's your looper?
I use a Boss RC30 loop pedal. So pretty simple 2-channel loop system. And yeah, I usually loop sort of drum lines and a lot of vocal harmonies and, obviously guitar parts over the top of each other. But yeah, I like to keep it fairly simple with my setup. So it's not a whole lot going on, but there's so much you can do with just that, so many different sounds you can create, especially with an instrument as versatile as an acoustic guitar.
Yeah. You also have a band called Tyde, Tyde. How does that differ from what you do solo?
So Tyde sort of verges into a bit more of an upbeat style of music. So, while my solo stuff's, often sad songs, some of it's more upbeat, but it's definitely more on the storytelling, you know, slow sit down and, you know, experience the journey of this song kind of thing. Tide, it's a similar genre. It's also sort of folky and acoustic. However, we also incorporate funk and a more of a rock sort of thing going on, a bit more rootsy. We've got a couple of blues style songs, and definitely a few that you could really get up and dance to. So it's yeah, a more upbeat vibe. And, you know, the three of us songwrite together. So, you know, it's not only my ideas that are going into it, it's the ideas of my sister Zoe, who's the bass player, and Josh Garnett, who's the drummer. So, yeah, a couple of different musical influences that go into that and make it yeah, like I said, a bit more of an upbeat, funky, rocky vibe as well.
Yeah. So we've been talking about Hold You In, the single. Do you have more songs written or recorded that you might release this year?
I've definitely got some more in the pipeline. One of the big projects I'm working on is actually a track that I'm composing for an orchestra, which is a much bigger project. And, you know, I'm definitely planning to get that finished either end of this year, finished recording, or early next year. But it'll probably be released next year. However, with Tide, we are releasing a single on the 1st of October as well. That'll be our first single as that band. So for this year, it's Hold You In, which is me solo, and then our single Skin on Skin with Tide. Yeah. And there's a lot more in the pipeline for next year in particular.
Unlike us here in Melbourne, you actually have a real life gig coming up, a single launch.
A real life gig, yep. No, I do. I'm playing a single launch at the Triffid on the 23rd of September for Hold You In, which is pretty exciting. It's a Wednesday night, and I've got Nicole McKinney opening for me, who's another beautiful singer-songwriter from the Queensland area. We're pretty lucky to have live music here starting up again. So, yeah, I'm pretty stoked for that.
Yeah. So what's the grand plan for Ella Belfanti?
The grand plan, wow. I'm writing music as it comes to me. And I have probably an album worth of songs that I'm really keen to get recorded. Like I said, I'm working on that orchestral piece, which is, you know, with guitar and vocals as well, but a whole orchestra section going in. And I want to make that a single off an upcoming album. And I'm sort of working on the arrangements and, you know, what other instruments I want to put into the, you know, coming songs at the moment. So hopefully an EP around the end of next year is in the pipeline. But, you know, I'm going to take it one song at a time and really take my time making sure that each recording is perfect and exactly what I want it to be. I don't want to rush anything. Because the music's definitely the priority. But yeah, no, an EP is the thing. An EP or album is in the pipeline. I'm still deciding on how many of the songs I want to put into one, you know, sort of one package, or whether it's a larger package like an album. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Well, good luck with the single, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, Craig. It's been a pleasure to have a chat.